This is Orson Welles, speaking from London.
Just find that Saturday Night Live where they still have Bob Simpson in the band.
That SNL performance is just amazing.
That is the epitome of what rock and roll is.
Hey, Troy.
Welcome to Abandoned Albums, the documentary podcast where we take a look at some albums that may have been forgotten about over time, and even some albums you just may never have heard of. I'm your host, Keith R. Higgins. Now, I love music, not because I'm a musician, but because I'm a fan. My mother used to tell me that as a child, I wouldn't fall asleep unless music was playing. This was a habit I kept well into my 20s until I was caught trying to sell Pappy Van Winkle bourbon on the black market. Attaching labels or classifying music can be a bit problematic. The only thing more daunting is attempting to define that label or genre. Over the next few episodes, we're going to take a look at the genre known as power pop. Now, what is power pop? There is a great deal of debate around that.
Monday, burn Millet. Wednesday, Whitman. Friday, Faulkner. Burn them to ashes, then burn the ashes. That's our official slogan.
Do you ever read any of the books you burn?
In their book, Go All the Way, A Literary Appreciation of Power Pop, writers Paul Myers and S.W. Loudon have essays from a host of power pop enthusiasts. One of them is Pulitzer Prize-winning author Michael Chabon, who said, quote, "At its purest, power pop is the music of hit records that miss." Musician Jeff Whalen describes power pop this way, quote, "Rock music made by people who wish they were in the Beatles, for people who wish they were in the Beatles." But I will say this. In the 1964 landmark ruling, Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart wrote this famous line about hardcore pornography, quote, "I know it when I see it." Well, the same holds true for power pop. This is not to say that power pop is anything like hardcore pornography, but you know it when you hear it. On this episode of Abandoned Albums, we're going to be talking about Baby Lemonade and their 1996 album, 68% Pure Imagination. The LA-based band is Rusty Squeezebox on vocals and guitar, Mike Randle on guitar and vocals, Dave Chappell on bass, and David Daddy-O Green on drums. YouTube has pretty strict guidelines around copywritten information, so if you're looking for the episode with song samples from the actual album we're discussing, you can find those episodes at iTunes, Spotify, Audible, wherever podcasts are. But in lieu of the song, here's either a sample noise or a sample song that does not have a copyright attached to it. I got the chance recently to sit down with co-founder and guitarist Mike Randle to talk about 68% Pure Imagination and learn a little bit more about Baby Lemonade.
The best friend to your sunny disposition.
The first thing I want to ask you is, how did you guys all come together?
Well, Rusty and I, we met as friends like 1984, 85. And then I had an apartment in Santa Monica, and he was looking for, I had a room for rent. So he moved in, and he had some songs. And so I had a 4-track. I said, all right, tell you what, man, I'm going to set it up. And you put down some of your ideas you have. I have some ideas. Go to my tracks and see if you can put something down, some ideas, some guitar parts, some bass lines. We started doing this. We said, hey, we got like 6 or 7 songs. Why don't we start a band? I had played in a previous band, this guy named David Green, a drummer, and he was no longer in that band. So me, him, and Rusty in the summer of 1992 decided to start Baby Lemonade. We didn't have a bass player. Finally got a bass player by the end of the summer. Rehearsed, made a little demo tape, and had our first gig at the beginning of 1993 at this small club that's no longer around on Pico in West LA. We didn't have a name yet.
Which brings to mind the question about the name. So, I'd read that it's based on a Syd Barrett song. Now, when I think of Syd Barrett, I think of psychedelic stuff. So I'm just curious how that name came to be.
Rusty and I are big Syd Barrett fans. We both loved that first Pink Floyd, Pipers at the Gates of Dawn, right? And we were really listening to that one Syd Barrett album with the song Gigolo on it and the song Baby Lemonade on it. We played that first show. The woman who ran the club, Jennifer, she's like, I need a name for you guys. And then Rusty said Baby Lemonade. He came up with it just because we needed a name. It stuck. Robin Hitchcock, when he first met us, he said, he goes, Baby Lemonade. I take it just Syd Barrett fans.
I want to ask you about power pop.
To me, power pop is what's good about punk and pop. They call it power, but it really is very punkish. My term for power pop, when it's not polished, when it's like Baby Lemonade, it's garage, because that's where we learned how to play, in the garage.
Also, I think where you recorded the record.
Yes, we recorded the record in the garage. And what I mean by garage is that you have to work on dynamics because you have neighbors. You can't fucking turn everything to 20. Excuse my language.
No, that's right. Curse away.
So you spend more time working on dynamics than you do on volume.
And you recorded it in David's garage, yeah? Daddy-O, right?
Daddy-O, yeah. Well, what happened was we sent some demos to a couple of labels. And honestly, the first guy to call us back was Long Gone John from Sympathy for the Record Industry. He called us up and goes, hey, man, this is cool. How much do you guys need to make a record? And so we gave him, it was a modest budget. He sent us a check. And rather than go into a studio, we went and bought a 16-track reel-to-reel machine.
Oh, wow.
And then Daddy-O and Rusty just figured out how to do it. None of them had any studio experience.
It sounds amazing.
Thank you. Well, those guys, that was them, man. And I believe our friend John mixed it. John recorded the very first demo tape we did, and who is going to record and co-produce the new album that we're making.
So the record, 68%.
Pure Imagination.
Where's the other 32%? You must get that question a lot.
Not a lot. We have gotten it. We got that. There's a club in LA called Spaceland. You know that club?
I do, actually. Someone
had written on the wall, like with a Sharpie, 68% Pure Imagination. And we were recording the record, had no name at the time. And I used the bathroom, and I said, go in that bathroom and look at the wall. He goes in. He goes, that's the name of the record.
Written on the bathroom wall.
Yep.
YouTube has pretty strict guidelines around copywritten information, so here's either a sample noise or a sample song that does not have a copyright attached to it. You did have a flirtation with a major label.
Yes. What happened was they sent us in the studio with Great guy. So I'm not going to say his name since this never came out.
I was going to ask, but
And he's worked on hit records and everything. He used to work for Island Records too. He was like a staff producer for Island. Great guy. Took us in the studio, and the way they were doing is they were doing like either like 3 songs and mix it, 3 songs and mix it. So we were somewhere just mixed like the 5th song. Everybody got canned.
it was really one weekend.
Yes. Maybe 2 years after that, that label folded, Mercury Records. And then not long after that, Universal was in the process of buying all this stuff. And then they have what they call Black Friday, where they drop like 150 bands.
So where are those songs now?
You know what, man? They gave us the tapes back. And our buddy David Jenkins, he's the guy that put out the Baby Lemonade Best Of. So a lot of that is original tapes. So he's just kept them all in his closet. I think we licensed a song called The Postman's Son from that session. We never redid it for any albums. We redid the song Drown, which you can find on YouTube. It's a video for Drown. We didn't use that version. So other than that, man, we just basically wrote it off, and then we started writing, exploring music. But the funny thing is, we had this demo tape, and this guy comes in, buys all these Arthur Lee records.
Arthur Lee was the chief creative force behind the Los Angeles-based band Love. The band's seminal album, Forever Changes, ranked number 40 on Rolling Stone magazine's all-time greatest album list, has been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, and is part of the National Registry.
He's buying all these CDs. I'm like, man, you must be a really big fan. I'm Arthur's agent, and he's playing down the street. And he goes, do you want to come? And I go, I'm just about to drive to Santa Barbara, but I'm in a band and we're huge fans. Here's our demo tape. So if you ever want to open her, we'd love to open. He goes, all right. February of 93, he calls and says, Arthur's got a gig at the Troubadour in April, but the band backed out. Do you guys want the gig? Sure. Baby Lemonade had only played one show at that point, just one show. So we go and we open up for Arthur, basically our second show. And he liked us. He watched the show and he asked us to be the band.
In late 1996, Arthur Lee was arrested for negligent discharge of a firearm. Lee already had a record, and because of California's 3 strikes law, he was sentenced to 12 years. He served 5.5 before being released. The firearms charge was reversed on appeal.
Arthur got out of jail again, and he said, if we're going to do this, I don't want you guys to do any Baby Lemonade. And we did the 2002, 2003, 2004. Those particular 3 years, we were touring with Strings and Horns. So it was like 19 people. We had a 8-piece ensemble with the band. That's 5 of us, a tour manager, sound guy, road crew, merch, just rolling out and playing everywhere. And it was awesome. Man, we played at Glastonbury to 80,000 people. So 2001 until Arthur died.
In 2006, Arthur Lee died of complications from leukemia.
We didn't do Baby Lemonade until about 2015. That was the first time in 15, 16 years we did any.
Did you guys, as Baby Lemonade, get a chance to creatively work with him? In the sense, like, did you write songs together?
Oh, yeah. Rusty and I co-wrote 4 or 5 songs with him. There's a song called Rainbow in the Storm that Rusty and I wrote with Arthur, but Baby Lemonade arranged it with Arthur. Rusty and I sat down with him, and we were playing some chords and he had the melody, and then we had a verse and we had the chorus. But then, like, it's kind of monotonous. Like, we really need a bridge. So I came up with this bridge and I hummed it to him. And I said, maybe rather than a bridge, it'll just be a trumpet solo. So he comes to rehearsal the next day, but he had written words for it with that melody. He came and he expanded that melody, and we had the bridge. So the band worked on that arrangement with Arthur, and then we had it. So if you ever find that Rainbow in the Storm, you can find it on YouTube. You can find a little demo of it or something like that. That's something, we wrote it from the ground up,
That's cool. Okay, this is a superficial question. What is it like touring with a rock star that you were a fan of?
Arthur could be a real character. Sometimes he could be, if he's in a bad mood, we would hide from him. So we were trying to sneak out of the hotel without him seeing us. But he was in the lobby. He goes, hey, Mike, hey, Rusty. Hey, come here. What's up, Arthur? He goes, hey, man, are you guys hungry? Let me take you guys out. Let me take you out to lunch. All right. He takes this really nice restaurant, right? He's ordering, and he says, I'll have a Bloody Mary and 3 shots of vodka. And she goes, oh, I can't do that. I can serve you the Bloody Mary, but then I had to bring a shot 5 minutes later, and I have to wait another 5 minutes. And then I have to make another 5 minutes. I can't bring you everything at once. So Arthur goes, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll have a Bloody Mary and 1 shot, and buy Rusty a shot and buy Mike a shot, and we have another friend coming, I'm buying him a shot. So just line him up right there. She goes, okay. She brings him out, lines him up. He looks her right in the eye and just pours it all in his Bloody Mary.
Good for him. YouTube has pretty strict guidelines around copywritten information, so if you're looking for the episode with song samples from the actual album we're discussing, you can find those episodes at iTunes, Spotify, Audible, wherever podcasts are. But in lieu of the song, here's either a sample noise or a sample song that does not have a copyright attached to it.
And Baby Lemonade, we played with Alex Chilton.
I saw that.
And that was a dream come true.
In 2008, Baby Lemonade collaborated with the London Sinfonietta in recreating the Beatles' classic Sgt. Pepper album in Milan, Italy.
That's the kind of thing that if you only do that and nothing else in your life, you've done it all.
The band worked with artists as varied as Marianne Faithfull, Beth Orton, and The Residents. I saw a clip today of some of the Sgt. Pepper stuff.
That we did?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know.
On YouTube.
Oh, my goodness. I want to see it.
Yeah. And my question was going to be, and I kind of think I answered it, but nonetheless, why isn't there an album of that?
The McCartney people tried to prevent that show.
Really?
That's what I was told. Yeah. They did not want it to happen. And so in order to not file a legal lawsuit or something, it was like it can't be recorded. So whoever's putting this out, they must have filmed it on their phone.
And you can tell, but
it should have been recorded, man. I'm going to tell you, Marianne Faithfull, I don't know if they put up the one we did with Alex Chilton, Fixing a Hole.
I didn't see that, but that doesn't mean it's not up.
It's great, man.
So how'd you get tapped on the shoulder for the Sgt. Pepper gig?
It's a guy from New York. His name is Glenn Max, and he used to be the talent buyer at the Royal Festival Hall. Glenn had booked us at the Royal Festival Hall with Arthur and Queen Elizabeth Hall, and with the orchestra. And he just said, man, you guys are the perfect balance playing power pop and rock with classical music instruments. So the government in Milan, they wanted to celebrate Sgt. Pepper. When they talked about getting a band to play, he said, you should get the guys in L.A. at Baby Lemonade. Basically, this government of Italy and the city of Milan paid for this. They paid for all these musicians, which about 50 of them, they paid for them to come over to Milan. They paid for all those celebrity singers to come over. They paid for us to come over. They put us all in this beautiful, beautiful hotel. We rehearsed for about 5 days. And this festival was like, it was virtually free. Whatever they charge people, it could not even come close to how much it cost to put it on. Not even close. But the people who put it on, they were so happy. And the people that went there were so happy.
The stuff I listened to and the stuff I saw, I'm like, wow, this is really good.
And like I said, we did about 5 days worth of rehearsals. And so every morning they would load us into this bus and drive us to the grounds. And they treated us like everybody like royalty, with respect, and they were keeping schedules. It's a lot of people. They were so good at scheduling everybody, and they didn't. We had to spend the most time there because we couldn't leave.
Right. But
they would bring in the singers during the day and out so that nobody had to sit around.
The coordination behind that must have been intense.
It was really well, a great production. And I'll tell you, I mean, Robin Hitchcock was fantastic. The Residents were fantastic. Jarvis Cocker, he was the guy, him and Peter Murphy blew me away. They were just amazing. Like, I didn't know they had that in them. Got to hang out and drink wine with Marianne Faithfull and have her talk about the sessions with the Beatles, where she was at.
Wait, Mike, are you really saying there's no recording?
I didn't see any CD being burned. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any DAT tapes. Mm-hmm. We were so bummed. And I mean, to this day, nothing official has ever come out. It's not even like anything floating around, you know?
Good for them for keeping a lid on it, but that's a shame.
Yeah, I would have rather them get sued and put it out.
Oh, absolutely. And they're a very litigious group.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
As the years roll by, that music becomes a little fuzzy and frayed at the edges. And so does memory, for that matter.
You think you remember something a certain way, and it turns out, like I thought something happened in April, and it actually happened in September. And I'm like, but it had to happen in April because that happened in April. Like, nope, that happened in September too. Like, oh, okay.
And it doesn't get better as we get older either. That's
why I had to write it down, man.
Let's rewind a little bit. Now, is your book, is that a novel or is that a memoir?
It is sort of a little bit of both. It's called Singing Cowboys. It's completely written. I'm just got to go through and edit it because I got to legally change some things around, some names, but just about almost 300 pages. The beginning of it is kind of lays out how Rusty and I met, like I just discussed with you. And it's basically about my time with Arthur playing in the band. And I kept a handwritten diary the whole time I was with Arthur. So every place we played at, every restaurant we ate at, every hotel we stayed at, every sound check, I just have all these different memories. But then I did interviews with different people in the band and different crew members because I actually had some things, I misremembered some things. So I wanted to have it together. And I was surprised by some of the things that other people remembered other than I did. So
that's awesome. I think that's great. It's another creative outlet for you.
Yeah. And the book is completely done. My girlfriend is an editor. She's a writer, but she used to be an editor for the LA Times. So she went through and cleaned it up. And then now I just have to go through and kind of just change a bunch of names, it's because I don't want any problems.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like over the years, different people that Arthur worked with, different agents, stuff like that.
Has COVID impacted Baby Lemonade?
So we played in March 8th, 2020. We did Baby Lemonade. We basically did the High Live Suite, opening up for doing Forever Changes with strings and horns at the Echo in Silver Lake, in Echo Park, excuse me. The next day, all the clubs closed down. Everything started finally opening up this September and October. So we did a West Coast swing where we went from San Francisco. They played, and they were all full vaccination shows. San Francisco, a festival in Big Sur, a festival in San Luis Obispo, and then LA, Costa Mesa, San Diego. And those were all great shows. And then we played one more show in LA at the Federal Bar in Burbank, and that was a great show. And then we were planning on doing something in March, but then Omicron hit, so we just kind of been laying low. But it looks like we're going to do something in Palm Springs in June. I'm just actually going to be signing off on that. So we always been really careful. We've been lucky is that we're always ahead of it. You know,
Good for you. You're recording a new album.
writing it right now and going to start recording it in 2 months. No name for it yet. It might be the other 32%.
You got a bookend, right? 68 and 32%.
There you go.
Listen, Mike, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. I'll drop you a note when I get it, and we'll take it from there. Thanks so much.
Got it, Keith.
As Love Revisited, Baby Lemonade will be on tour in Europe this summer with Love original guitarist Johnny Eccles. The songs you heard during this podcast were all taken from Baby Lemonade's 1996 album, 68% Pure Imagination. And they were Back of a Van, Brooke and the Sandman, You Set the Scene, and Shake the Shelter. Many thanks to Mike Randle and the rest of Baby Lemonade, S.W. Loudon, Rob Janicki, Nathan Sage, and executive producer Rufus Thunderlove. Thanks for listening. Abandoned Albums was recorded at Sage Sound Studios in Shelton, Connecticut, engineered and mixed by Nathan Sage, produced and written by Keith R. Higgins, original music by Mike Pellegrino. Subscribe to this podcast if you like what you've heard, and be sure to leave us a rating. Follow us on social media. On Twitter, we are @AbandonedAlbums, and on Instagram, we are @abandoned_albums.
So Replacements play one song. They play Can't Hardly Wait first. Then Paul Westerberg takes his mic stand and throws it into the pit. Tommy takes his mic stand and throws it into the pit. They proceed to jump off the stage, and they've did the rest of the show. If you were anywhere beyond the third person, you didn't see them.
And now, until we meet again next time, I remain as always obediently yours.